Okay, this was the first question on your recent test, and one you did particularly badly on. So really important you get your head around all of this. Part A should be really easy. We're just finding the product moment correlation coefficient, which of course is your R. Okay, we've got all the data you need. The biggest reason for losing marks here is for your accuracy. 3 significant figures is the minimum acceptable accuracy, and if you don't give that amount of accuracy, you'll probably get no marks. Part B, lots of you missed the point of B, is a reason to support fitting a regression model. In other words, why is a regression model likely to be reliable from what we've done? Well, we've got more on reliability in part G, okay? But at the moment, you're using your answer to A, okay? You can only use a regression model sensibly if the data actually seems to have a pattern in it. So what is it? Use technical language from your answer to part A that justifies thinking that a line through these points will give reasonable predictions, okay? So it's a comment on your answer to A. In part C, we need a value of B, and you've got a formula for that in your formula book, but make sure you get it the right way round. So unlike the correlation coefficient, you need the X and Y correctly identified. So here we've got A and B are obviously constants. Our variables are M and V. They were in the table to begin with. But which is acting like an X, which is acting like a Y? The tables may be a small clue, but the equation makes it solid. Okay? All right. Is M in the position for X or Y as the subject of the formula, and is that X or Y? So get M and V the right way round. So this time it tells you 3 decimal places. That's what you needed to pick up in part A, the amount of accuracy. So we need to find the equation of the regression line. Well, it's going to be this equation. We've already got B. We need to find A. There's again a formula which includes A and B and X bar and Y bar. So you're going to need M bar and V bar. Okay, and the formula for those isn't in the formula book because the formula for a mean is just a sum of something over the total. Okay, so make sure you correctly get your M bar and V bar, and then you should have your value of A, and don't forget to write out the equation of the line in this form. Okay. Now part E you were very bad at. Interpreting your value of B, well, if this was like y equals something plus something times x, the number in front of x, the b, is obviously the gradient of the line. Unfortunately, that's not what they want. They want you to actually put it into context. All right, so it is the extra something per extra something else. Okay, all right, and round about this point you do have to pick up that V is measured in thousands. That's important for E. It's even more important for part F. Part F ought to be dead easy because it's just using your regression equation with a value they give you for V, except V does not equal this number here. Okay, and if you use V as that number there, you're going to get 0 out of 2. All right, V is the number of visitors in thousands. So this, we need to know how many thousands this is to get a value for V. So you get the correct value for V, plug it into your regression line, and then you will get the right answer. Okay. And then we've got to comment on the reliability of that estimate. Now there are two things that can affect the reliability of linear regression. We've already had one of them though, so we've already given our reason for thinking that this data is patterned enough for a regression line to make sense. So the only other aspect you ever need to comment on is whether or not you are extrapolating. And the opposite of extrapolating is interpolating. Interpolation is good, extrapolation is bad. Interpolation means that we are using a value of V within these limits. Notice they are not in order. Okay, so be careful about that. Obviously, if you've used 2.5 million as V, okay, that's way outside this range, but that's also a hint that you've done the wrong thing with V. V is not 2.5 million. It's a number not too far away from these. Is it within the range or not? But I would recommend you use either the word extrapolation or interpolation for this. Okay, all right, or if you prefer, you can just focus on the word extrapolation, and you either say it is extrapolating, if it's extrapolating. Okay, you'll probably get away with saying not extrapolating if what you mean is you're interpolating. So you can actually just use this one word extrapolating and say whether you are or not, and if you're extrapolating it's not reliable, and if you're not extrapolating then it is reliable, and that should be 2 easy marks. So that question, hope these comments have helped, but that question you were abysmal at. Okay, make sure that you can get full marks on this question when I give it to you again.